Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing the Midweek Magic Brawl Showcase Event. This is the weekly free event where you're going to get a couple free rare rewards and one cosmetic reward for your first 3 wins. You get to play as much as you like though, and this week's special format is pre-constructed Brawl. So they're showing off these 4 different commanders from the newest set from Dominaria United, and how you could build around them. So they have the Raven Man as a discard strategy over here. This is the only one I think I'm not going to play. It's just excessively rude. I don't generally enjoy discard strategies too much. So as you can see, tons and tons of ways to make your opponent discard a card to trigger Raven Man's ability to create these bird tokens. So you have Corrupt Court Official, Pilfer, Virus Beetle, Liliana of the Veil, of course, maximum flavor with the Raven Man. The other thing that's cool about the Raven Man is if a player discarded a card, so you or your opponent discards a card, you'll get a bird in the end step. So you also have some blood token stuff like the Restless Bloodseeker, the Vampire's Kiss, Voldaren Bloodcaster, and so on. So that is the mono black deck. It's about discarding. Either you discard or your opponent discards, and you're going to have a good time with that one. That is the only one I'm not going to be playing. We do have to get 3 wins here, so I'm going to get 1 win with all 3 of the other decks. We have Joda the Unifier, which is a 5-color Legends-themed deck. Pretty clear what this deck's trying to do. Joda gives all of your legendary creatures an additional power and toughness for each legendary creature you control, and every time you cast a legendary spell, you get to cascade into a cheaper one and cast that as well. So you reveal cards from the top until you reveal one that costs less than it, and you're casting 2 spells off of just the one. So Joda the Unifier is pretty absurd, and Joda decks tend to just look like this, just a pile of legends, as you can see by all of the legendary crowns at the top of the cards. You can really just see the borders up there. It's just 5-color legends just all over. Queen All in All of Ruodak is the green-white tokens deck, as Queen All in All is going to have power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control and spit out additional soldier tokens every time you create any other creature tokens. So pretty self-explanatory deck here as well. Green-white tokens, lots of token production, lots of cards that get better the more creatures you have on board, stuff like that. Very powerful looking deck here. But the deck that we're going to start with is Sol'Kanar the Tainted, because I think that this one looks the most interesting, the most fun to me, the one that I would want to build around the most for my own Brawl deck. And Sol'Kanar the Tainted is 2 blue, black, and red for a 5/5. At the beginning of your end step, you choose one that hasn't been chosen. You can draw a card, you can have each opponent lose 2 life and you gain 2 life, or you can deal 3 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. The final ability that you will have to choose if you've chosen every other ability is to exile Sol'Kanar and then return it to the battlefield under an opponent's control. So that is a huge downside if it sticks around that long, but the cool thing about this deck is that it's built around making sure that that doesn't happen. There are ways to bounce the Sol'Kanar, bring it back to the board. There are ways to just sacrifice the Sol'Kanar. So this deck is kind of just a Grixis value deck that's focused on making sure you never give your opponent your Sol'Kanar. You could return your own Sol'Kanar with a Fading Hope. You can sacrifice it to a Dockside Chef. You can bounce it to a Geist Wave and draw a card when you do that. You can exile it to Planar Incision, then bring it back to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter, and that will also start the loop over. You'll be able to choose all of the abilities again. So pretty cool, pretty interesting deck here. That's the one we're going to start with today. Alright, here we are in game 1 of the Brawl Showcase. I'm going to keep this hand because its mana is pretty great. Got all the colors. Got a turn 3 Phyrexian Rager to give us some more gas, some more fuel. And that card also synergizes quite well with the Golden Argosy here, which can flicker it. It'll exile it and then bring it back to the battlefield during the end step. We're playing against the Joda the Unifier deck. Play this Phyrexian Rager here. We really want to draw into another land, and we have, which is very nice. Unfortunately, it's a tap land. There's a Topiary Stomper from our opponent that lets them tutor out a basic land, put it into the play, and then they can't attack or block unless they control 7 or more lands, so don't have to worry about the Stomper itself yet. But it will be a 4/4 Vigilance, kind of scary body there, eventually. Carved Coast. Okay, that is an untapped land. Though I don't have a 4-drop I really want to play. Argosy would be fine. I don't think it's good enough to not want the untapped land on turn 5 to drop Solkanar. So we'll go for Aether Channeler instead here. Could also just go for Obnixilis, double Ob here. Actually seems kind of strong. We'll go for the double Ob, while our opponent does not have an attacker out. And I'm going to go ahead and get the Devil. And then once you have a Devil, the +1 ability lets you gain 2 life every turn and make your opponent lose 2 life.
Punishment is my entertainment.
So our opponent has all 5 colors of mana now. If they cast Joda, we're probably just going to bounce Joda back to their hand for now. We don't have any hard removal, unfortunately, but just bouncing Joda should be nice, because that'll take up their whole turn, and we can do that while still putting another creature on the board with the Aether Channeler. And then we should be in a good position just to try to slow them down enough to just keep ticking up these Obnixilises, using them as our win condition. Though our opponent is not just going to tap out for the Joda, they are going to go for the Weatherseed Treaty, pull out a red source. They do have full domain for the treaty, so when that goes off, they're probably killing an Obnixilis, having a 6/6 Trampling Sapperling. Or a really big Trampling Topiary Stomper. They're only 1 land away from the Topiary Stomper actually getting in. Okay, there's a Goro. Doesn't really do anything right now. Can give their board haste though, which is scary. If they play Joda, their whole board gets pretty big, but I can counter Joda with Amalgam's Exploit. Kind of feel like I want to just hold up interaction now.
Shake down the locals. Defy.
Make another Devil so I have more options for exploits. Alright, here comes the 1/1 from the Weatherseed Treaty. Leyline Binding that can exile an Obnix. They still have the mana up for Joda, and I won't be able to counter that or do anything if I counter this, because that's 1 mana in a 5-color deck. And I got it. By Obnixilis.
This isn't over.
Hiveheart Shaman. That has its own domain thing where it makes a gigantic creature every turn. Yeah, we'll just counter that. Kill the Sapperling at the same time. Topiary Stomper to Ob. We'll kill the Stomper. Shoot them for 1. Kind of sad not to have a Devil for the Ob anymore, though. Timely Interference. Interesting. Beginning of your end step, so I can use Solkanar to kill Goro, so I think I will. And Solkanar is a demon, so Solkanar triggers Ob as well. So Solkanar actually gains us the life off Obnixilis as well, which is pretty sick.
Please.
Did not realize that synergy until now. kill the Solkanar. Now we know that their board is not going to have haste, and the Weather Seed Treaty is not going to pop off. So whatever they do with Joda this turn doesn't haste us. They do get to strangle up Nyxlis. That's a little sad, but it's fine. We've got a Solkanar popping off now, and we just need to slow down this Joda long enough, which we can definitely do with all our bounce. Definitely outrace them, and we still have multiple ways to get rid of our Solkanar if we need to. Speed up the clock, drain them some life here. They're down to 9. They're going to cast a Herd Migration, which I can't counter, which means that is going to block. That is really going to block. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Special Adversary can phase some things out, but I only have 5 mana, so I can only kick it once. I can only phase 1 card out. I think I probably just play it to have a flyer here. Okay. One more end step for Solkanar. So we get this end step, we draw a card. Next end step, we'll crew it to the Argosy. So I need to play the Argosy right now. I need to play the Argosy this turn. They have 5. If Solkanar dies to 3/3s, it's also fine. It's another way to get it off the board. Yeah, that's fine, and then we can just recast it later. Or if they only block with 2, we could Geist Wave here to kill both of them. Also fine. Yep, because then I still have Argosy mana for the turn. And then we try to Argosy Solkanar next turn. Ooh, a Lantern Bearer. Actually, it could be really good here. Because we could sacrifice the Lantern Bearer to slap it onto Solkanar and attack for 8 in the sky if they tap out. Okay, they are going to kill Solkanar. That's pretty fine by us. And then there's Joda, back again. Attack with all these 3/3s. I could have crewed Argosy to block one, that was rough. They are going to scoop them up though. I was going to say I'm actually pretty sure I should have just crewed and blocked to kill one. But then what happens? It goes to our turn. We don't actually have a way to kill Joda anymore, so get a little bit of a shot, but we could definitely hit them for 2 in the sky, put them down to 6. I think we're probably winning this race, especially if I actually blocked correctly. But yeah, and we could Lantern Bearer, sack the Reckoner's Bargain to throw that onto Channeler if we wanted to. Hit them for 5 in the sky. I think things were looking pretty good for us. And so our opponent scoops them up, and it is going to be 1-0 to start it off. There's the win for the Solkanar deck. We'll move on to the Queen All-in-All Tokens deck. And Brutal Cathar, our first rare award. Very nice card. Here we are on the play with the Green-White Tokens deck, the Queen All-in-All deck. This looks like an incredibly powerful hand. This is absurd. We'll start with Broker's Hideout to make sure that we have the double white that we need for Queen All-in-All. I'm going to miss out on dropping Eater Virtue turn 1, but it's cheap enough to equip, only 1 to equip, that we can just spend 2 mana the turn we play it. We immediately just play and equip it. I would rather get this this tapped land out of the way. Yeah, this is going to be a brutally good curve. I like this a lot. Another tapped land's a little awkward. There's the Raven Man. So we are playing against the mono black discard deck. Could go ahead and immediately drop the Queen herself. Honestly seems fine to me. Drop her before we play any more token production. Opponent is going to take 2. They're down to 23. Because in Brawl, you start at 25 life. They have 3 mana up. Now that is Liliana mana. They do not have Liliana though. They have a pointed discussion to draw a couple cards, lose a couple life, but they do get a blood token as well. So that is a way to get a bird out of the Raven Man. But luckily for us, the birds cannot block, so just playing aggressively here should work out pretty nicely for us. We're now... I'd rather Courtyard than Grove because I don't want to draw any more lands. Actually, more lands wouldn't be bad right now. We're trying to hit 5 for Join the Dance, although we already have 5. Yeah, I'll go Courtyard over Grove for the deck thinning. And then we'll go Cavalier. Attack everybody. Opponent is going down to 13. Take the full queen hit to keep the Raven Man. Keep the Raven Man on the board. Braid's Frightful Return here, going to return a Dusk Mangler to their hand. And then play a Blood Fountain. And they're just going to scoop them up. A green-white deck just gets to some really aggressive curves that, if you don't have the cheap interaction, just end the game so quickly. They tap out for more good like card draw and discard stuff, but it doesn't impact the board. All of a sudden they have to chump with Raven Man and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably would kick an adversary there to give our board +1/+1. So they take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Something like that. Be a pretty rough turn for our opponents, so they're going to scoop them up there. That's going to be a victory with the green-white tokens deck. So moving on to hopefully the final round. I guess we'll check our prize out first. Our rare reward is a Carplucin Forest. Always nice to get some dual lands. Those are going to be important for any constructed format. It's always nice to have them. But moving on to hopefully the final round here, we're going for the 5-color Legends deck now. Joda the Unifier. We'll see if we can't get a 3 for 3, get a 3-0 here in the Midweek Magic event. Alright, opponents on the play. We've got pretty good mana here. This feels like a Dominaria United draft deck that I would be happy to have, is what it looks like right now, although there's a Hiveheart Shaman being weird. There's no ramp in here. And we're against Queen All-in-All, so I think I actually take, because the mulligan's free, I think I actually mulligan here. We're against the most aggressive deck with no ramp. Now we have ramp, we have Arcane Signet, we also have a huge herd migration if we can make it there. However, every land we have is a tap land. It's awkward. I guess that's because we're playing regular Brawl and not historic Brawl. The options for mana fixing are a lot worse. That's awkward. Looks like no turn 1 or turn 2 play here, luckily for us. Yeah, that is going to be immensely helpful. We did draw another mana ramp card, a Reclusive Taxidermist, so that's nice. Just an additional Arcane Signet, basically. Another card that taps for mana of any color. It's a 1/1 Queen All-in-All. I don't need to tap for another mana right now, so I think I'd rather just play Taxidermist. Because that's summoning sick. It's possible on a later turn that I can play the Arcane Signet and something else. So say like right now I have 4 mana. So if next turn I have a 3 mana card to play, I could play Arcane Signet and the 3 mana card, but I couldn't do that with Taxidermist because it's a creature, so it'll be summoning sick. Uh-oh. Now every time my opponent plays a land, they get 2 1/1s because of Queen All-in-All. So I could play Island, and then I have 5 mana. I could cast Joda just immediately and hope for no removal. It's probably our best bet, honestly. If they have removal, we'd probably actually let Joda go to grave and then Bortuk Bone Rattle it back. Yikes. It's exile-based removal. Alright, we were probably not going to win this game then. Rough. Could have 6 mana, but there's, well, I mean, there's a Bortuk with nothing in grave. Need 7 for Joda, need 7 for Herd Migration. If I Signet, I've got 4 mana up afterwards, so I'd have to Signet, play an untapped land, and then play Joda's Codex. And I'm tapped out, take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 minimum. Probably just dying here. Oh. Yeah, this one was rough. If it was Destroy removal and not Exile removal, I think we've had actually a pretty spicy time here. Oh, Leyline Binding. Still probably dead, but that is a very good card in this deck. But Queen All in All, Cemetery Protector, 2 1/1s every land. Gonna be exceptionally hard to get enough blockers here. Especially because I have exactly 7 mana and no untapped lands, which means next turn, if I play Herd Migration, I can't play Binding as well unless I top deck an untapped land here. Rabble Rousing. Okay, the game is definitely over. Every time they attack, they make an additional 1/1, which means they make 1/1s equal to the number of attacking creatures plus 1 because of Queen All in All.
Strike fast
and they got a free Wandering Emperor off the Rabble Rousing to just hit for full lethal. Although I guess it was lethal without the Wandering Emperor because the Rabble Rousing spit out so many 1/1s. Queen All in All hit us for like 11. Brutal. Pretty devastating game there. Round 4 it is. And looks really bad. There's no green source, it's super slow, and our opponent's on Queen All in All again. We're going to take the free mulligan here. And this deck is just glacially slow in general. But I guess we'll keep this one. Cartographer's Survey, okay, I guess that's a card. Little sketchy include. I would try not to run this card. But again, it is standard Brawl, so they do not have access to everything on Arena like you do in Historic Brawl. So maybe this was the best bet they had. Probably have to play Goro Goro and just make sure I have a blocker every turn. In the Queen All in All matchup. Especially because my opponent started with a 1-drop this game. 1-drop into 2-drop here. Pretty brutal. Queen All in All. Turn 3. This is a snap trade. I don't care about Goro Goro's abilities, I just care about stopping as much early game damage as I can. I do care about old Rutstein's abilities. So Rutstein could get me treasure, could get me blockers. A lot of important stuff there, so if we get in a position where we might chump with old Rutstein, I'm going to try not to chump block. But Rutstein can put a really, really nice wall between our opponent and us, just getting insects every turn. The only thing that wouldn't be that useful to us would be the clue tokens, or the blood tokens. But if we can get treasure tokens or insect tokens, we're going to be really happy. And there's a treasure token that's beautiful. That means I could just cast Joda this turn, and if they don't have removal, we pop off. It's pretty much always going to be the plan. Joda as soon as you can. Give your opponent as few opportunities as possible to draw into the removal for Joda. Alright, Wandering Emperor does not kill Joda, but she does put a whole lot of damage on the board here. A 2/2 and a 1/1 every turn because of Queen All in All. Untapped green source would be beautiful. It'd be a pretty lucky draw. If we don't hit it, I guess we'll have to just play the Cartographer's Survey. Because we don't have double green for Rulik Mons right now. If we get a treasure token, we could cast Rulik Mons as well. Just casting any legendary card when you have Joda out is very, very powerful. Prayer of Binding. Goodbye, Joda. Queen all-in-all deck just seems nuts. Just incredible early aggro and plenty of removal. I don't feel like the Joda deck can really do anything without the Joda. It's just too slow. You can parcel for a basic. Or try to survey for 2. We'll survey for 2. Okay. Well, we got a Wooded Ridgeline and a Plaza of Heroes. We are quite ramped up. If we can survive. Old Rutstein is doing his best here. Rabble Rousing. Going to be disastrous for us. Whatever they hit under it with the Hideaway is going to get cast for free because they have more than enough creatures to attack in here, and they know the Queen is under 0 danger because she's going to be like a 12-12 or an 11-11. This is definitely an attack all moment here because you get 6 1/1s out of the attack. Yep.
Show them how we greet our enemies.
A free Dollhouse of Horrors. So I'll kill one of the 2/2s. I could kill a 1/1 and stop more damage, sure. Another insect from Rutstein. Got the 7 mana to drop the Kami War. Need a board wipe in this deck. I don't know if there are any. We really need a board wipe. Guess we exile Queen all-in-all? Could exile the Emperor. Could exile the Rabble Rousing. Actually, that's pretty important too. Feels all too little too late. We need to be able to remove multiple of these cards, and the easiest way to do that would be removing all of them with a board wipe. We cannot do that in this deck. If I can only kill Queen, I'm going to die to Rabble Rousing. If I can only kill Rabble Rousing, I'm going to die to Queen. Wandering Emperor helps assist both of those cards, make them a little better. Pretty rough. I guess I go Rabble Rousing. It's going to be like... I guess I can play this thing tapped. Maybe like 20 1/1s or something. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's going to be 12 1/1s if I didn't kill it. I've got a Rumor Gatherer alongside a Wedding Announcement, so they get 2 1/1s, scry 1, and draw a card in their end step.
I have got new moves to teach you.
Bortuk Bone Rattle. Bounce Queen all-in-all. Actually pretty nice. Got another treasure token from Rutstein, so we have 9 mana this turn. And it really just doesn't matter if this deck doesn't have a board wipe. I'll check that after this game. I think I'm actually probably just going to scoop here. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing we can do to survive an attack next turn. I can only get like 2 blockers max. I have 3 total out. Block, block, block. 1, 2, 3. +5, +6, 7. Catilda can just destroy us with that 6 mana ability if they play a basic. Yeah, the game is very over. Well, taking a look at the Joda list, and it's probably the worst list. It's an incredibly slow deck that has 0 board wipes, which is not something you can reasonably build and expect to compete against anything mildly aggressive with. So that's a little rough here. Maybe we'll switch over to the Raven Man deck, although I don't know if that has any board wipes either. I know the Grixis deck has board wipes, and the Selesnya deck is just aggressive, so if you're the aggressor, you don't need any board wipes. But yeah, this just feels way too slow to not have some kind of board wipes to try to turn the game around. Clear things out and stabilize. And this is a little rough, but I'm going to keep it anyway. I really like turn 2 Brawler. I think I need to pull out a Plains with this Evolving Wilds. Or actually, I'll pull out a Forest with the Evolving Wilds and make the Thran Portal to Plains. Cult Conscript. Alright, opponent is going to be playing aggro here with the Raven Man. They got the 1 mana 2/1. Got a Zayator's Proving Ground. Cool. Means the Brawler is going to be a 4/4. We have everything except blue now, which means Leyline Binding also only costs 2 mana. There's the Raven Man. I've got a Leyline Binding. I can cast at instant speed. Ruin a double block if that's their plan. They're not going to double block. Now I could Leyline Binding Raven Man immediately, so they don't get any birds, or I could just play Arcane Signet to ramp up a little. I think I would rather Arcane Signet here. But we're going to be under some pressure here, especially if they cast a discard spell. Vampire's Kiss, that's fine. They do get to discard a blood token to get a Raven in their end step, though. They'll discard a card to a blood token. They'll discard their own Arcane Signet and hit for 4. There's the bird, there's the Raven. Okay, so we are stuck on 4 mana here, but that's still enough mana to cast Leyline Binding and Artillery Blast. Feels pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and blast Raven Man right now, or I could play Rada. 17 life, facing 4 damage on board. Risky here, but I'm going to play Rada. So I'm cracking back for an incredibly large amount of damage here. Because the bird tokens can't block, not that worried about them getting more. Okay, they're just going to tap out for that. We're very far away from Call Me War and Bone Rattle. Definitely can't discard our removal. I guess I'm only 2 mana away from either. I think I get rid of Bone Rattle. I think Call Me War is stronger. They're both very good. Just hit with the bird, do not hit with the conscript. Okay, we did hit a land, and it makes Leyline Binding cost only 1. Just attack both here. Then blast Raven Man. The 10 power trampler here, let's go. They'll take 13. Blast the Raven Man. And pass the turn. They're at 6 life, facing the Shobu Brawler Rada, which is a 10 power trampler every turn. Okay, they're going to hit us for 4. We'll just take it all. Holding up the Leyline Binding to get rid of whatever blocker they try to play. If they play removal on Brawler, we're just going to hit them for 3, and we'll be sad. Passing to our turns, they're going to play instant speed removal if anything. Let's find out. Extinguish the light. Yep, that works. They also gain life off of it. Cast Joda here, maybe? A little risky. I take a damage here, I go to 10. I only have 4 power on the board. This way, if I cast the Kami War or Shigeki next turn, I get to Cascade into another legendary spell. I didn't want to do it pre-combat because I wanted to hold up Leyline Binding if something weird happened, like they managed to untap one of their creatures or play another somehow, but that's not something you see Black do a lot, so I guess it was probably better to just cast Joda. If I memorized the deck lists and knew that the Raven Man didn't have anything to spit out a blocker at instant speed, then yeah, that's definitely the best play, but I don't know for sure what the deck is capable of. Alright, Graveyard Trespasser, going to exile the Brawler. And then a Restless Bloodseeker to get another blood token. Now I can Kami War. And Cascade with Joda. We have to discard a card to the Graveyard Trespasser, but I still think that's the best target. Taking damage. Stupid Grand Portal. I honestly wouldn't even run it if I was making my own standard Joda deck. Just the worst Evolving Wilds the vast majority of the time. Maybe we shoot a flyer. They have 6 toughness to block with. Yeah, I guess we shoot a flyer. What? The Kami War is not legendary? Oh. Well, that's rough. That's not how I thought it was going to go. That's still probably our best play, because Shigeki to try to get a 1-mana legend. Well, I guess Shigeki gives us more blockers. Well, we learn something new every game. I guess there are no legendary sagas, are there? If there are legendary sagas and the Kami War isn't one of them, that's just dumb. Tyrannical Pit Lord. And that just kills us. You have another creature flying, hit us for 7. Fair enough. Here we are with game 3 of the worst of the 4 decks, in my opinion. Playing against Queen All in All again. Incredibly hard to beat an aggro deck when 75% of your mana base enters the battlefield tapped, and your mana fixing and ramp looks like Ominous Parcel. I need to play a tapped land here so I know I can Rutstein turn 3. Card has been huge in the past. This video is very quickly turning into a Dark Souls challenge run, where I try to beat an incredibly aggressive deck with a ridiculously slow deck with no board wipes. We're in it to win it. I already said I was going to try to get a win with this deck, and now we are all in. This game is not going to be the game we get a win, most likely. I think I have to play Rutstein over the Weatherseed Treaty, unfortunately. Or else I am taking 8 on board, and they've got the cheap removal anyway. So I am still taking 8 on board. I also did not mill one of the 2 card types that matter. I did not get a treasure token or an insect there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Unwinnable matchup remains unwinnable. We are probably dead this turn. We're going to 1 life at minimum. That's how much damage we're taking. We are at 1 life. We did not find an extra way to get damage out, but we have no way to block all that stuff, and there are no wraths in this deck for some godforsaken reason. So, heading into the next round. Alright, here we go. We are on the play against the Solkanar deck, so we'll see how this one goes. Don't love having the Thran portal in hand, but we'll deal with it. That's a fancy animation, just puts the boxing ring right on the board. I don't know how I haven't noticed that before. That's very funny. Oh, a turn 2 Goro Goro? Want to just be aggro? I can't turn 3 a Lagrella. I don't know what I want this Thran portal to be, but this is the only turn. Oh, it'll enter untap next turn as well. Okay, so I Vine Wall first, and then I Thran portal turn 3. Another red or green source. Alright, we are overlapping way too much on these colors. No blue or white source yet, and I have a double blue card in hand. Weatherseed Treaty, that'll be helpful. Take the blue here because I've got the double blue card, and then we'll Weatherseed Treaty for white. One basic island in the deck. We might not get double blue for the Sphinx of the Clear Skies. But I think it's still important to get the white source because it helps us cast Lagrella and Joda instead of just the one Sphinx of Clear Skies. This Hiveheart Shaman could pull out the island we need. Aether Channeler, they're just going to go ahead and draw a card off of it here, most likely. And we know that this Grixis deck has a lot of interactions. They can bounce our Joda back to hand, or they could blow it up probably, but we're still going to tap out and just try to get it down here. Which I guess I couldn't do if I didn't draw this mountain, but since I did, I can go green, red, white, blue, and black from Proving Ground, so that's what I'm going to do. Sphinx is not legendary either, it's just domain. They could have Bone Splinters in that deck, potentially, because it lets them sacrifice Solkanar. So they might have put that in there. Okay. Looks like Joda's still going to hang around for now. We'll make a 6/6 Trampling Saproling. Woo! And then cast our most expensive legend here. And see what we cascade into off of Joda. Get a Shigeki, that's fine. It does make our legendaries bigger, which is cool. I could play Goro Goro as well. There is no 1-mana legend. Yeah, so that's just everything goes back in. But playing Goro Goro makes all our stuff bigger again. Then we send in the squad. Potential chump block from our opponent here. They could have one of the cards let them sack the creature for value. Ooh, they're going to return it to their hand and draw a card. Surprised they didn't just Geistwave our Joda during their turn. This might be their first time playing against the Joda deck, but if I were playing the Solkanar deck every time, if my opponent tapped out for Joda, I would just bounce it back to their hand immediately. Because if you wait as soon as they cast a spell, they get the cascade value. Yeah, I would just toss Joda back into our hand to slow us down. Hostile takeover. Well, thanks to Joda's ability, that doesn't work, and we find lethal this turn. Joda is absolutely nuts if you can resolve Joda and then cast a legendary or two, but as we saw in some earlier games, especially with this build of the Joda deck, it can be quite difficult to get to that 5 mana, so once you get there and you start casting your 5 color cards, it does feel pretty good, and that is going to be the final game. Let's see what we get for our mystery cosmetic reward here. Ooh, and a Johnny Sleeper Agent Parallax card style. Unfortunately, it is a Parallax card style. I'm not a huge fan of these because, as you can see on the border there, on the left-hand border, it is a little harder to tell on this one because it's just a landscape, but you can tell on the right hand there that it's just mirrored at the border. That always bugs me. I can't unsee it. But we still got a couple cool rares. Still got to play with these Brawl decks and try out some of the new commanders, which was pretty cool, pretty fun. Definitely, if you just want to win these games really quickly and get out of the event, Queen All in All is your best bet for getting your rare rewards. Solkanar was the coolest one in my opinion, because it was a decent deck. I think it's a pretty solid one. It could win any matchup if you are lucky, and it's a fun, interesting one. And the Raven Man, if you like just being the discard player, I guess you could go for it, but I'm not a huge fan of that kind of deck. Joda is definitely the weakest one in my opinion. I think that the Joda deck's mana base is really bad, and having no wrath effects for a deck this slow is just a death sentence. If you were trying to take this deck into regular brawl queues, I don't think it would really win almost ever. And in this event, I don't think you can beat Queen All in All unless they have a really bad hand. But it's got a chance in the other matchups. So that's my opinion on the event. That was my run through the event. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send some more videos like this to you in your recommended feeds. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.